Hello, and welcome to the Valley today. I am your host, Janet Michael. We are back on the Zooms today with Megan Gordon. She is the Executive Director for the Page Alliance for Community Action. You'll hear us refer to that quite often as PACA because it is so much easier, Megan, and not quite the mouthful as the full name of your organization.
It is. It is so much easier just to refer to us as PACA.
I will tell you though, over the last several years, I have heard people that have said PACA and then they stop and they can remember what it stands for. And so you're doing a good job of making sure they still know what the full version of it is.
That's good. We are out there at pretty much any community event in Page County. We are there. So I'm glad to hear that people do know that PACA stands for Page Alliance for Community Action.
And what does that stand for? For someone who isn't familiar with your organization, what do you do?
We are a small nonprofit in Page County. We have actually been around since 2006. We have been our own nonprofit, like fiscal agent, since 2013. We received federal drug-free communities grant money in 2015 that allowed us to grow in capacity. So that's why now, knock on wood, hopefully a lot more people know what PACA is, what it stands for, and what we do. And our whole mission is to keep our youth and families healthy and drug-free in Page County. That encompasses a lot of things. Prevention today is not just this is your brain on drugs. That actually did not work. But what we do is we try to educate our community members, our students, our youth on the dangers of substance misuse. And then we also try to work to decrease accessibility. So we work with local law enforcement and other agencies to do compliance checks or party patrols, just ways to keep access to either alcohol or tobacco products, marijuana products now. And then even we have medicine lock boxes and deterra bags, timer caps, where we try to decrease access to medication, unused or used prescription medication, whether it's opioids or stimulants. So it's just trying to attack that from all different angles. And part of it is too that we provide positive pro-social events in the community. So we try to decrease risk. And part of that is providing alternative things for youth and their families to do. And then we also try to focus on keeping kids healthy. So we have 3 community gardens, we have after school programs. So you name it, we are trying to make an impact and do it to help reduce and prevent, ultimately is to prevent substance misuse.
It is so different now with this current generation, even the last 2 generations, than it was when I was growing up. Because you're right. I mean, we laugh about this is your brain and this is your brain on drugs, but that was the message. It was simply don't do drugs. And that's not effective. The fact that you're giving kids alternatives and working with them to develop tools on how to say no or how not to find themselves in a situation, I think is going to be so much more effective as you move forward.
Yes, it is. And the studies show we've now had drug-free communities grant funding for 10 years. And while different things have come out, and obviously there's different substances and different modes to use those substances, the messages have been the same. You want to decrease the risk factors, increase the protective positive things, and try to decrease accessibility to the substances, whether that's in the home or decreasing the density of the outlets that sell those substances in the community. So you want to try to really make an environmental, not just thinking in the environment, but like a large scale environmental community impact, trying to prevent use of these substances.
And it's something that the community as a whole can participate in and help you with. It's not your job alone to accomplish this mission. Any of us can do small things that further that positive image.
That is definitely the goal of the drug-free communities grant funding that we had received. It really is to build coalition capacity. And as a coalition, we have a good 30 active coalition members that represent different organizations and agencies and even just community members, youth and parents. We've got the hospital, the school system, law enforcement, youth serving agencies. To recovery, we partner with our recovery partners in treatment because it's not just about prevention, it's also about encompassing all of that. So it really is a community effort, and that's what it was meant to be. It was meant to get the entire community, really to change the culture in the community and have everybody in their space being able to do something to impact and prevent substance misuse.
There are so many new things now that parents have to be worried about that I didn't have. We talk a lot about social media. Facebook was just becoming a thing when my kid was almost out of high school. So I'm very lucky that the social media stuff wasn't anything I have to deal with. I cannot begin to imagine all of the drugs and prescriptions and all of the other things, the fentanyl, things that I hear from doing this show that are terrifying that our kids could get access to in some way.
It's scary, and they always talk about that scare tactics don't work either. They didn't work. But when we go into classes, we just actually this past year did an evidence-based fentanyl lesson for our juniors and seniors in our high schools. We don't go in to scare them, we give them facts, but really, literally, one time trying something, whether it's a counterfeit pill or if it's something laced with something, one time can kill you. So we offer revive trainings so people can at least know how to administer Narcan. We're talking about offering that to possibly some of our high school students. At this point, a lot of the staff in the high schools are trained on that, and we do that every year, every other year. But yeah, it is between the potency and the availability of these substances, it is a very scary time to even try to use them.
When you talk about going into the schools, you set up at community events, you have programs and special events that you do. You try to reach all four corners, not just of Page County, but of the population itself.
We do. We set up at any event. We were just at National Night Out the day before that. We were at a wellness fair for the Shenandoah National Park Association. So we talked to a lot of their employees. While they don't all reside in Page County all the time, they still have kids and they still work with our families. And some of them do reside in Page County. So we try to educate not only our students and our youth, we go in and talk to the seniors at the senior center to talk about prescription medicine safety. We will go and talk to and educate and just provide information to anybody who will listen to us. We will be anywhere because that's what it takes. Everybody really needs to have a good understanding and access to some of the stuff that we're fortunate through being partners with Northwestern Community Services Board and some of the funding we've had to have products and items to be able to give to the community to help decrease accessibility to some of these substances.
And I think that's such a large part of it too. When you're talking about educating the kids, it's also educating the parents and things that used to be okay, like leaving expired prescriptions in a medicine cabinet or active prescriptions accessible to anybody. You just can't do that anymore. And it's not that you don't trust your kids, but why create a situation where there doesn't have to be one?
Right. And it's very easy to become addicted to, especially prescription opioids. So we really try to encourage if you have them around to make sure you're disposing of them. So yeah, it's definitely there's a big education piece around all of it. We have a lot of grandparents that are raising their grandchildren or even some great grandchildren, and they don't fully understand what all of the things are when you're talking about vaping and even marijuana. They think about marijuana from the 60s and 70s, and that's not really what it is anymore. A lot of it's synthetic, it's made in a lab. When kids are vaping it, it could be up to 90% potency, which is very different than 3 to 15% potency of a plant from the 60s and 70s.
And you don't do this alone. It's not like you, as PACA, are just doing this in Page County. There are coalitions across the Shenandoah Valley that have the same goal and focus. Celeste has been on the show from Warren Coalition before. It's a nationwide effort.
It is a nationwide effort. So we and Shenandoah County has one family youth initiative. We work close with Northwestern Community Services Board, their prevention and wellness department. And then they're all across the state. There's a state organization that we belong to, Community Coalitions of Virginia. We all meet monthly and we are all coalitions across the entire state. But then across the nation, we go to a national conference twice a year, and there are typically over 4,000 attendees at those conferences. And a lot of them are from communities where there's coalitions because you make change from the bottom up. You have to be met from the top down too, but it really takes grassroots efforts, and that's what coalitions are.
A lot of what you do is free to the public. Like you're not charging them to give information. You're going into the schools and that sort of stuff. But you have staff. There are
Mhm.
things that you have to pay for. When you talk about this program initially getting started because of a grant, we're hearing a lot in the news now about grants going away. Federal funding is being slashed in major percentages. You have to do fundraising in order to continue doing this work.
We do have to do fundraising and try to get donations and sponsors and look at foundations and grants. We're constantly looking for grant funding. But yes, the landscape of federal funds is definitely scary in this arena when you're talking about prevention, because a lot of the organizations that are being cut, the CDC, SAMHSA, a lot of those places administer a lot of the federal grant funding that we receive for prevention efforts. So we are always doing fundraising to try to make sure we have some base for sustainability, because the products that are purchased, the things that we hand out, the educational materials, the curriculum, and then the staff time, all that costs money.
You have actually one of my absolute favorite fundraisers every year. You've got the Page Valley Sunflower Festival coming up at the end of August. Can we take a break? When we come back, will you give me all the details for that?
I would love to.
We're on the Zooms today with Megan Gordon. She is the executive director for PACA, Page Alliance for Community Action. We're going to learn the details about the Page Valley Sunflower Festival happening on August 30th when we come back in just a couple of minutes. Got a few hours to give? You could make a local nonprofit's day. On September 19th, United Way NSV invites you to join over 900 volunteers for Day of Caring, the region's biggest single-day volunteer event. You'll help nonprofits across the valley by painting, landscaping, organizing donations, or doing light repairs, whatever's needed. No special skills, just a willingness to help. Whether you're solo or part of a team, your time will make a real difference. Sign up today at unitedwaynsv.org/Day of Caring. Be part of something bigger. Help us care for the valley together. Welcome back to the Valley. Today, I am your host, Janet Michael. We are on the Zooms today with Megan Gordon. She is the executive director for the Page Alliance for Community Action, PACA. We're talking about all of the great work that they do in drug prevention, alcohol prevention, all of the really cool things that they do in our community to keep our community safe, particularly our kids. And one of the ways that you pay the bills, Megan, is through a fundraiser, Page Valley Sunflower Festival. I was looking at your website before we jumped on the Zoom. Have you been doing this 6 years already? It seems like you just started it last year.
I know this is our 6th year. It always amazes me how fast time flies. And yes, it does go faster as you get older. But this is our 6th annual Page Valley Sunflower Festival.
This is really cool because A, I love sunflowers, but B, this is the true definition of a partnership with your locality, because you get to have this fundraiser and have these sunflowers and do all of these really cool things for this event. And Luray Parks and Rec is actually planting them, growing them, maintaining them, and doing all of that on your behalf. This is a great partnership with the town of Luray.
It is an amazing partnership, and these are the kind of events that we love. The town of Luray does a ton of work for this event. We just actually got back from a meeting. I had a meeting for the Sunflower Festival today at 1. But yes, maintaining the sunflowers, planting the sunflowers, getting all of the activities. This is our 6th year, so we try to add activities every year. So they do also secure all the activities and the music. So there is a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes for this event, and the town of Luray does an amazing job with that. In addition to them, we partner with Luray Downtown Initiative, the Page Valley Arts Council, the Page County Farmers Association, the Garden Club, Southern States, Valley Health. So there are a lot of partners that go into really making this event a nice community event that's very low cost.
What is the date and the times for the event this year?
It's always the Saturday of Labor Day weekend. So it's Saturday, August 30th, and it's 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We do have a fun run that kicks off at 9:30 a.m. the day of the event. A nice little fun short run around the sunflower fields. So you get the first look at the sunflower fields.
And then you have activities throughout the day. You have vendors that are set up. You mentioned live music, there's hay rides, and I get to cut sunflowers and bring them home with me.
Yep, you get to clip amazing sunflowers. They do look good. I was just in the field this morning, so they are looking good. So you're going to get to clip some amazing sunflowers. We music both at the top and at the lower field. There's going to be a jam session, a berry patch jam session at the lower field, and then Josh Davison is actually playing at the upper part of the festival. I think he's playing 11 to 1, but I'm not 100% sure about that. We do have craft vendors at last count. We were at 30 confirmed, but up to 47 craft vendors, and there's still another week to get all the confirmations. We've got food trucks, we've got a balloon artist, there's kids crafts. The garden club will put your sunflowers into a beautiful arrangement or into a vase. There's hay rides to the lower field. Then we have, of course, all of our inflatables and other activities. This year, we will have some water featured inflatables. So we have some water slides because it's always very hot. This is one of the hottest events that we put on. So we decided to add some water slides and a dunk tank. So it should be fun.
A dunk tank. Who
A
have
dunk
you
tank.
conned into sitting in the dunk tank?
Right now, we have some of our local representatives from our police departments and our sheriff's office. We possibly have somebody from our board of supervisors that's going to be in there, our superintendent from our school system. There are some other community members that just decided they wanted to sit in there. So we've got a good variety, a nice mix of people that are going to be in the dunk tank this year.
Do you run out of sunflowers at the end of the festival?
We have not, knock on wood, any year. Yeah, actually, we've always had a lot of sunflowers left. So we do clippings only the Sunday and Monday following the festival. So I think Sunday the clippings are from 10 to 3, and then Monday they are from 10 to 1. So we typically have never run out of sunflowers.
And it is a fun day. There are kids running everywhere. I mean, it is the epitome of a community festival, I think.
It is an amazing festival. We will be set up with all of our information and talking to everybody. Participants also receive a medallion from the pottery lady, from Kathy Miranda, the pottery lady. She makes them for us. She's made over 800 so far. And that medallion, if you are in Page County Saturday, gets you discounts and specials at our participating shops and restaurants. So it is really a fun community festival. There are kids that are running around everywhere, a ton to do. It is very low cost. The town of Luray also puts a lot of staff time into running the event. And of course, a lot of the activities cost money to bring in. We'll have a petting zoo and a butterfly garden. And so a lot of these activities do cost money. So it is $5 a carload, but you can put as many people as you want in that car. It's $5 a carload to get in.
Now I'm flashing back to my teenage years of going to the drive-in and how many kids can we hide in the trunk?
Right.
Don't put your kids in the trunk, everybody. $5 is fine. Just cram them on top of each other in the back
Right.
seat. And it's great that the local businesses come together to support you too. Having that medallion and them saying, look, we're in favor of the work that PACA is doing and we want to be a part of this in some way. It really does. It checks a lot of boxes.
It does. It's a fun partnership. We do it Labor Day weekend because we know we have a lot of families that maybe can't afford to go out of town. So it is something fun to offer on Saturday for the families that are in town. But we also know we have a lot of tourists in town. And so it's a good way to get those tourists to then see other businesses and areas in Page County and to go experience and enjoy some of that.
Gina and I have talked from the Luray Page Chamber that they typically do go out of town. So she's very grateful you still do the clippings on Monday so that she can still get clippings on Monday, even though she has to miss the festival on Saturday.
And that's why we actually that's why we continue the Sunday, Monday clippings, is because we know we do have people that go out of town, and we have a fair amount of people that come on that Monday because they're back in town to make sure they get their sunflowers.
Are they all the traditional yellow sunflowers? Are they different colors? What do they look like?
They're all the traditional yellow. It's black oil seed, I think, if that is up to the farmers that the plant, but they are all the traditional yellow and should be the same height. They're all pretty uniform in height.
There are 2 fields full of them, so it's quite a sight to see.
It is. We only have the lower field planted. We used to plant the upper field coming into the park, but there's some construction going on up there with a batting cage. They're doing some stuff. So it is only the lower field that's planted, but there are 2 plots in the lower field.
And that's a pretty large space. So when we joke about running out, there's a lot of sunflowers in there.
Thousands of sunflowers. Yes.
Maybe
Yes.
that's a contest you'll have to do is figure out before you open how many there are. And then people can, for $1, guess. And the closest one to the actual number of sunflowers wins a prize.
Wins a prize, which will probably be a sunflower.
I know. What kinds of people do you have coming set up to sell the things that they make? Crafters, vendors, things like that?
There's going to be people that are selling honey, a ton of jewelry, a lot of laser cut like wood stuff. We try to encourage people that do sunflower themed, some type of sunflower themed craft. But there's animals, people that are doing different animal treats. We have candy apples, there's bath soaps and candles and waxes, those kind of things. And we make sure too that it's all homemade, handmade items. You got t-shirts and the cups and all of those kinds of crafts.
As people are listening on the river 95.3 today on the 8th of August, is it too late if someone's listening to say, hey, wait, I want to come and set up a table?
It's not. No, they can go to pagevalleysunflowerfestival.com and there's a link on there to the Google form to register to be a craft vendor. And that is open until August 15th.
Do you still need sponsors? She asks, knowing full well the answer to that question is always yes.
We always need sponsors. So yes, if anybody would like to sponsor, they can email me at pageallianceforcommunityaction@gmail.com. That is a mouthful. It's a very long email. Or they could call at 540-742-9386. But we are always looking for sponsors.
And I will put the email address and the phone number in the show notes page so people don't have to remember that mouthful. Is this one of the largest fundraisers that you do every year?
This is one of the largest fundraisers and honestly the largest events that we put on every year. Now there is a cost. There's a cost obviously because we do pay for the cost of maintaining the field, getting the field ready for the sunflowers. And then there's some other additional costs for the t-shirts and some of that. That's why we look for sponsors. But it is a very big fundraiser. Yes. The last couple of years we've had, based off what we could tell, we tried to count people in cars and then count cars. And so it's kind of been a rough estimate, but over 2,000 people at the event the last couple of years.
Wow. They're coming for the t-shirt. That's why everybody shows up for those.
They are a different saying. We do put a different saying on them every year. So I think
You've
people
got
are
quite a
collecting
collection going on out there now. What color are the t-shirts? I assume they're yellow.
They're not yellow. This year they're going to be a teal color. Yes, they're not yellow, but the print is yellow.
Have they ever been orange? Because we should talk about the 7th annual Sunflower Festival and what that t-shirt color should be.
I don't think they've ever been orange. So I think we haven't had orange yet.
I will have to talk to Andrew about a sponsorship. How about that?
Yes, yes, that would be wonderful. And we could have an orange t-shirt.
So where can people go? Let's first, for anybody that's interested in details for the Sunflower Festival itself, you have a separate website for the festival. Where can they find that information?
So that is pagevalleysunflowerfestival.com. And they can also go on Facebook. We have an event on PACA's Facebook page. And I think if they probably search Page Valley Sunflower Festival, the event would come up. So there is an actual event page on Facebook. And then if they went to PACA's Facebook page, they could get to it from there too.
And then you have a website that has a wealth of information on it as well for PACA. What is that web address?
That is pagecoalition.org.
And it has all your contact information. So if someone's listening and something you said today, they're thinking, oh, wait, I didn't even think about that. They can reach out and say, hey, how do I handle this? Or what should I do about? You're always in for educating and giving people advice and suggestions.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, reach out. Either they can reach out on Facebook, call, or email, and we'll respond.
Thank you for taking the time to meet up with me today. I do appreciate it.
Thank you for having us. We are always willing, and we hope everybody plans to come out to the 6th annual Page Valley Sunflower Festival.
I am hoping that you have low 80s, zero humidity, light breeze weather. How about that?
That would be wonderful. That would be, and lots of sunflowers.
And lots of sunflowers. That's exactly right. I will be back on Monday with a brand new episode of The Valley Today, a few minutes after noon. Have a great weekend and meet me here then.